welcome to the Post-Human Podcast.
Okay, today's guest, digital marketing expert and the host of Clarity with TK Merah. There we go. I fucked it up the first time round, but we got it second time. How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for coming on. So let's I mean, you're in France, so let's quickly
Yep.
just talk about that because I've been to France a couple of times. Some of my
hmm
some of my favorite shit in the world is in France. Not Paris. Not so
Yeah.
much. Well, I tend to find that when people go to France, they just visit Paris. Um, but obviously the Lascaux caves, like the grotto with the old cave
Yep.
paintings.
Yep. Been there. Yep.
Wow. See,
Amazing.
that's what I was going to ask you if you'd been there or not, because I've never
Yeah.
had the opportunity, and I thought, that's the very first thing I just want to ask someone that's in in the region of France.
Oh
What was?
man, you totally should, because there's so much history there. There's so much mystery as well. The paintings on the wall, and there's this sort of like a well, and at the bottom of it, there's this painting with, if I remember correctly, there was like a horse, and then there was like this human with the head of, I think it was a bird or something. And so they still haven't cracked the code of 48 men. That was insane. Also, the animals at on the walls, many of them were not actually like, native to Europe. And so people are start wondering like what it meant, whether like these animals actually existed back then and then they went extinct, or these people were travelers and then they got to France and then they drew that on the walls. So there's so much mystery, and it's no, I mean the museum and the whole experience is just amazing. So it's definitely one of my favorites, to be honest.
I'd say I definitely want to go there. It's just obviously with travel restrictions and stuff like that at the minute, it's pretty tricky. And I think they open it up certain times of the year, don't they, or something along them lines, just to sort of keep the contaminants out.
Yeah, I've been there like 3 years ago, so it was pre-COVID. I was there, I think, in the winter, so around like March. There weren't many people, so that was pretty cool. We got to see a lot of things. You obviously don't get to see like the real caves. I mean, you see them from afar, but you don't get to
Yeah,
wander in there. Yeah, so it's
yeah.
amazing. But no, the replica is pretty neat. It's really amazing. It's definitely, yeah, one of my favorite experiences here.
I mean, again, another thing that I've always wanted to go and do in France is the Paris catacombs.
Yeah.
Uh, have you ever? I mean, again, you said a little bit on talk a little bit about travel and stuff like that. Kind of fits into the same category, I guess. Have you ever like wanted to go down there? Have you ever been?
To the catacombs, yeah, 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 yeah. I've been there. I was a bit younger. I was a lot younger, to be honest. I was there with my parents, so that tells you the whole story. But it was a fun experience. I honestly wasn't. I think I wasn't old enough to appreciate the whole atmosphere.
Yeah,
And we didn't get to spend that much time. I wasn't exploring it on my own. It was just a guided tour, and yeah, it sounded like some grown-up stuff, so I couldn't tell you as much as I could
no,
about
that
the
makes sense.
Lasco. But no, but it was still a very good experience, to be honest. It's, I mean, the catacombs are huge. It's like that's what I kept from that experience. I
Yeah,
really, from what I knew before, I thought it was just some tiny area that
yeah,
you
yeah.
could, visit within half an hour and then move out. But actually, like, they're huge, and that was pretty impressive because it's a whole, like, system underground under one of the biggest metropolis in the world. So yeah, it was insane.
I do a lot of like urban exploring, and that's the only reason I wanted to go. Not for the tour, but to have a bit of a wild adventure underneath Paris and just see how it ends up. Probably pretty bad, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Heard some. Well, you see a lot of shitty YouTube videos of people that go down that are like satire and stuff like that, but you see a couple that are pretty crazy, man. Like weird cult groups down there, and pretty scary place if you don't want to fuck
I
yourself
think
up
you
in there.
wouldn't wander in there like, at nighttime.
No, I think, yeah. Well, I don't think it'd matter the time of day, really, because it's always dark.
True, true. But again, it's like when I mean personally, if I know that it's like already dark outside and it's if it's in
Yeah,
the winter and stuff, it's like cold and dark outside already, and you're in there, it's like there's no escape. Whereas like if you go there in the summer or like in spring and it's like midday and you know that outside is like sunny and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
then when you're in there, you have that way to escape the place in your mind. That's what I meant. But yeah, no, it doesn't make any difference when you're down there.
But no, there's like they always find random stuff as well. There's like found like a full cinema setup in there, and so
Oh, really?
yeah, they always keep finding really wild things like huge like half sauna type places where there's so fucking
Mm,
crazy, and like I said, there was like a
okay.
full like cinema setup with like projectors and like
That's crazy.
20 30 seats, and it's so bizarre like that you go down there and watch a film and like
Yeah, yeah, hell
it's
yeah.
strange. It's very strange.
Yep.
So let's talk about your show. Moving off
Uh-huh.
France, I just wanted to get those out of the way, just because for my own curiosity. So let's talk about your show. What made you do podcasting? It's I've listened to a couple. It's a pretty good show.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Podcasting, I mean, it was for me, I mean, when I started off, well, the story is simple. Like back in 2010, 2011, I wanted to start like a YouTube channel. So I wanted to, make videos and talk about my life and travel and all this. And then I never did. And as time passed, I started like regretting it. But then there were points where I was like in areas where it wasn't possible and I didn't have the funds, and it got complicated. So I sort of gave up the idea, and then podcasting became a thing. And I started tuning into like lots of podcasts, and I truly like enjoy listening to so many shows. And so they were so enriching, so it was so fulfilling to just be listening to stuff that actually helps you grow or become a better person instead
Yeah,
of
yeah,
just listening to music. um I just thought I missed out on my first, it's never too late, but for me it was like I missed out on starting a YouTube channel back then I was like, well, this is an easier format to get into. And I felt like I had something to say, I had to an experience to share, I had to use that kind of platform to sort of make the world a better place as well as we can.
yeah, yeah,
And so that's how I got into it. And at first I was just trying it out, wasn't taking it too seriously. And then as time passed and I started getting listeners, and also like some people DMing me on Instagram. At first I didn't even have like a an Instagram page for my show. It was my personal page that I
yeah.
used to give out. And people would DM me like, yo, man, I listened to your show. It's great. I really love that you talked about this or that. And so that's, those sometimes you just get one DM in 3 months and that one DM keeps you
Yeah, yeah.
going. You know what I mean? It's so, I appreciate that like so much. Just to know that someone listened and someone like found value in what you put forward. And then yeah, time started passing and it started like I set it up as a weekly show. So I wanted to make an episode per week, and I stuck to it. And as I saw that I wasn't having too much trouble doing that, I realized that it wasn't just, I mean, it still is a hobby, but I realized that I could push it a little bit forward, get better a better setup, or like talk about stuff that I researched prior to talking about instead of just winging it. And yeah, the more time goes by, the more I feel into it, and that's crazy.
There's a weird sort of free flow with that. You can sort of plan certain bits, but then occasionally you don't even get to go down that path because when you're talking, you can instantly just keep on the same sort of conversation rather than launching back into a segue about the topics. There's been a few shows like that where I've put a little couple of subjects down. I'll use these little post-it notes. Perfect, because they're just the right size, and you can use them almost like cue cards as well in a way, rather than having this big, huge block of information. But even then, sometimes you just keep talking and talking. You're like, oh man, I completely forgot to ask that, and sometimes they're really relevant things as well. And after you beat yourself up about it, you go, ah, shit. I knew I should have pulled the notes out more times, you know. But it's cool that you do, even weekly. Most people, I don't understand the people that can do like once a month. It's kind of like, ugh, it's
Um, yeah, I mean we're all different in a sense,
yeah.
but some people like
I mean, it's
they get
time constraints, but
yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at. It's some people actually do it just literally just like a hobby, and they just have something to share, so they do it in a 1 hour episode, and then they move on to the next thing. And some people just don't have so much to say, to be honest. If we're completely real with each other, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah.
people just don't have that much to say, and they'd rather listen to other people talk and just stay in their heads instead of just be like us basically and just talk it out. Personally, I learn more by talking to other people than
Oh
I
yeah.
do by, for example, reading books or watching videos even.
Well, it's
You
life
know, I
experiences as well, you
exactly, exactly.
know. um,
So I feel like yeah, it's too.
Sorry, Karen.
We're all different in a sense. Go on.
It's funny because again, you said about just people with DMs and stuff like that, and I'd mentioned on one of my shows a film that I hadn't seen since I was probably like 14. So you know, we're talking like 16 years ago, and I've put it out to so many people, and who are like really good at guessing films. And then I just got a random DM, and it was like, "Is it this film?" And I was like, "Holy shit, it is!" Like so many people, like were. It was like a basically the scene like at the end was like there was a guy on a roof, and he was had a hand fighting him, and then it threw him off the roof, and then there was like a bunch of hands walking down the street like at the end, and then closed credits, and that was just all I caught of it, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Because I always wanted to watch it again. And people were like, "Oh, it's Idle Hands," and I'm like, "It's not Idle Hands." And then obviously, over the years, like I've just sort of forgot about it, and then I mentioned it on my show, and then someone was like, "This is what it is," and they were correct. So it's amazing,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
how much the show can work sometimes in terms of like someone was listening because shit they found a piece of information out that I couldn't find. It didn't matter how hard I typed it into Google, how many people I asked, but just putting it on this platform, bang, you get you get your answer. You know,
100%.
it's kind of
That's
wild.
amazing, man. That's a crazy experience.
It's
It's like,
strange.
even at our, I don't know what level you're at, but even at my level, which
Yeah,
is
I'm
like pretty, I'm
pretty
just
low.
getting started. Yeah, exactly. I'm just getting started, to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
honest. And so even at this level, like you said, you still get people like, your listeners, however few they are, who can really bring you so much value. Because some people will just tell you something in a DM, and it will, spring new ideas, and then it will probably be your next episode. I
yeah.
got that a lot from friends, like from conversations with friends. Some people who didn't know I had a podcast, so we would just be talking, and I was like, "Oh, I talked about that in my last episode," and they were like, "Oh, you have a podcast? I listened to this podcast that talked about that." And then you go like, "Wow, that's a really interesting topic." So you go into, research it and stuff, and then you bring, your own point of view on it, and I find that just fascinating.
It's amazing when you've got like a couple of close friends as well, and you can sort of do a show with them because you can bounce the ideas. I've yet to have like a co-host. I've got no one that's come over yet. I'm
Okay.
people are still a bit COVID scared, and so
Mm. You're in the UK, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because
So
like I thought about that, the idea of co-hosting, and what better way to do it with, like you said, a best friend. Unfortunately for me, since I'm based in France right now, and I have been for about 4 years now, it's like it's very hard to find, especially given that I'm not in Paris. It's very hard to find like anglophones who could just
yeah,
like like your friend who's an anglophone, and then with whom you could just do a whole show. It's like it's too much to ask.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that there's that obstacle for me, but I would definitely like, yeah, love it, man, like to just have someone just over some tea or whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just go over and talk about life.
Just well, I mean, I kind of did like a show with a friend, but the audio was terrible because I was just trying to do a multicam setup, and it was pretty tricky.
Wow.
So it didn't really go down great. I've got it there, but I'm like, do we release it? It's pretty wild. I mean, we got fucked up.
Okay.
Like, we got really fucked up. So it was a
You
wild.
never released it.
No, I've not yet. No, I don't know whether to.
Man.
I'm trying to clean the audio up, but I don't really edit much.
Okay.
It's a pain in the arse.
Mm.
It takes
Yeah,
so long.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But man, I mean, if you already got the content, maybe you could break it up to pieces or something.
Mm.
But I think that kind of content is definitely gold. So especially like, like what we're doing right now is there's always some value for the listeners, and just being, maybe your friend is, obviously we're all different. We have our individual selves. And so I think, I mean, I would definitely tune in. So think about, putting it out, man.
I think I might have to clean it up. I have thought about it. Guess again, it's a wild one. But you ever had any wild shows? Do you drink much on them? Do you smoke?
Come again?
Are you a drinker? Are you a smoker?
Nope. Not
No.
a drinker, not a smoker.
Ooh, completely clean. I envy you, sir.
Clean.
It's I'm going to be working on it soon. I've got to cut my alcohol content down a little bit because I've noticed this when I drink cans as well. They start to stack up, and I can plow them down me. So when you come to like do the recycling at the end of the week, and you're like, holy shit,
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
That's when you realize.
Well, it's not even that. It's like the money side of it as well. I'm like, oh, I could have saved a
Tell me
fortune,
about
a
it.
small fortune.
Tell me about it.
So I envy you the fact that you don't smoke and you don't drink, because that is a huge added wealth that you don't. People that have vices are costly. Let's put it that way. It could be
100%.
very costly. So when you started podcasting, did you decide? What made you just? This is a tricky thing, because again, length of episodes. Some people choose to do like 5 minutes. Some people just let it roll. Again, you can have like an hour structure, half an hour. What made you choose your length? Like, because everyone's really different, and it's a question I've not really asked many people. So I thought,
Okay. Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I thought about it actually when I was starting my show. I was like, what am I going with? Am I going with like a fixed, length? Is it gonna be like 420 minutes? Is it gonna be 15 minutes? Is it gonna be an hour? And then, I was like, I had no idea for how long I could talk about, it's one topic. I had no idea how long it would take for me to have a conversation and, have something that's quite conclusive, something that's quite, complete. And so I was like, I'm just gonna try and see what works best for me. However, the thing that I knew was that my favorite shows are usually like long shows, but broken down into pieces.
okay.
It's like, even when I listen to like Joe Rogan, for instance, he has 3-hour episodes. I've never seen a 3-hour episode, I think, on his podcast. I've only watched like 10-minute episodes, by topics. And I find those, way more compelling in a sense, because there's so much information packed up in 10 minutes or 15
Oh
minutes
yeah.
tops. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's super interesting because it keeps you there, man. And that's why, like, right now, you've seen all my show. I have like two types of topics.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have like the personal, and then the ones with guests. The ones with guests are usually between 45, I mean, they're usually around 45 minutes. Let's say 45 to an hour, because some guests are, more knowledgeable, more interesting than others. But mostly all of them were super amazing. They were way above my expectations.
Yeah.
um and then there's the personal ones where I'm just on my own talking about something that I'm knowledgeable about, and I try to keep it to 15 minutes tops. It's usually around like 10, 11 most at most. And yeah, I just want to keep the listeners there, and I want to keep them like focused. I don't want to lose them, and I'd rather like for someone to listen to 5, 6 of my episodes of 10 minutes, which is a whole hour, instead of like listening to one episode
It's an
that's
hour.
just
Yeah.
1 hour. Yeah,
And there's
exactly.
also, I mean, also you kind of run the risk of losing them halfway as well. If you're doing it an hour. I mean, I'll just let
100%.
let mine go on. You know, the longest has been 4 hours, which was
Mm-hmm.
it was ridiculous. It was like 4 hours 12 minutes. Like,
I
could,
recorded one with one of my best friends, and it lasted like you said, it's around 4 or 5 hours.
yeah,
But I never posted it, and I still have it. I'm gonna edit it and put it like out in pieces because I felt like it's just better.
processing it was a long. I'd advise I would
Nah.
advise cutting it down because I
Yep.
mean some of them have been like 2, and you're like, okay, this takes a little bit of time, but then after
Mm.
that, I mean, again, it was really late as well. I finished at like 2, 3 in the morning, and I was like, right, processing time, and I was just sat here for ages, like, fuck, this is going to take forever.
Oh, you mean like post processing?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do Zoom, but then I also like use a program as well, and then that like
Mm.
converts it and then draws all the audio.
Yep.
And
Yep.
obviously, I have to then wait around to see if the audio is correct because I was having tons and tons
Okay.
of fucking problems. So it was like, man, I've got to process this 4 hours and wait around. I think it took like 2 hours or something in itself. And then I was like,
Damn.
right, go to bed. It was just
Yeah.
like, I, it was absolutely worth it. But then you're like,
Yeah.
fuck,
Yeah.
it was such a drain.
Yeah. 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 I had problems with mine too, like because I was recording with a guy over Zoom because he's in the US, and so we were talking for like 4 or 5 hours, and then we're like, "Hi, man, I'll talk to you soon." Blah blah blah, and then when I hit like what was it, like pause or whatever, and then end the conversation, it started processing. It was already like late at night, so I was like, I'm gonna leave it, go to bed, and see you in the morning. When I woke up in the morning, I realized like
Oh,
my MacBook had no space, and so
oh,
I was like, and so the whole thing was like 6 gigabytes, and I didn't have like 6 gigabytes left
six
on my
gig.
my yeah, man. And so I was like, fuck. So I lost the whole thing. And
Oh,
fortunately, I don't know how, how it worked, but like I managed to empty my MacBook and then try to reprocess the thing. And I managed to keep to find the audio and delete the video. And now it's fine. So I still have it.
what's one plus with Zoom is obviously it takes two audio tracks, and then it takes the you can convert it as well. I've got a program that runs almost alongside it,
Mm,
and it just gives me the option to convert it or not, which is great because I mean, if it ever fucks up, I've still got that backup copy.
yeah,
If
I
that
can
makes
see.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty sketchy. It doesn't work all the time. I can't really
Mm,
rely on it 100%. There's been times where I'll look down in the corner to see if there's like a little microphone, and that'll like flash up when the other person's talking. And I'll be like, oh man, it's caught it this time. I'm like, yes. And then it'll draw the audio up after, and it'll just be blank, dead audio. And I'm like,
oh, shit.
you
Mm.
son, I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, you got me again. Like, like,
Technology, man.
yeah, it's the more you spend as well, the more you've got to fuck up. Like, it was one of the reasons why I stopped with that multicam shit because I was like, this is getting a bit trickier, and I was like, I think I need to watch probably about 50 YouTube videos to, you know,
Set it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind
Yeah,
of
I
did.
heard that, man. I heard that because that's. I mean, I talk a lot about minimalism in my show, and that's because I am a minimalist, and so I tried like my hardest to keep it to like a minimal, in terms of gear and stuff. And so I was like, I want it to sound professional, but I don't want some big ass mic or big ass headphones
Yeah,
and have to,
yeah.
store them. And yeah, yeah. I mean, I respect
It's
that
cool.
because for years I had like big ass headphones and walking down the streets with them. But now I'm like, my lifestyle changed, and I'm like, do I really need that? Like, and I realized that I personally didn't because I wasn't Joe Rogan. So
Yeah, yeah.
for now I don't have like a personal studio where I just do the recording and figure everything out
Sometimes
later. And
it's
so
not necessary though. You know, you can just get like a green screen. I've seen tons of people that've just got
I've seen a
just a green
yep,
screen, and you can just
yep.
put your own picture on there. You can just take a picture of whatever and just bang right behind you. You can just almost
I'm
have a
trying to look
picture of a
into that.
studio.
It's
You know?
funny that you talk about that because I'm looking into green screens, and I think the idea is great because I've seen some really clean
Mm.
podcasts where the guy is just on his own, green screen behind him, And yeah, it's just super neat, and I really like the look and feel of it. But I also love your studio, man. It
Oh,
looks
thank you. It's
yeah, it's
surviving the test of time at the minute with the weather. But
yeah, yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Well, but it looks good, man.
No, thank you. There should be a picture there, but I've not kept it in here because it's like the original artwork of my logo, and I'm like, yeah,
Oh.
that's not staying in here. Again, I paid for it, and I'm like, I can lose all this crap, but I'm not going to lose the original artwork. You got
Hmm.
no chance.
Got it.
I'd rather. I literally, I mean, it was just when it was pissing it down full of water, and I literally felt like I was going to just go down with a ship. In a sense, I was like bailing all this water out, and I just sat there for a moment, just watching it going. I'm just going to sit here, and there's nothing I can do. Like,
Yeah.
it was pretty terrible, but luckily it got sorted pretty easy. So, what other podcasts do you listen to? Obviously, listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I
You
listen
said
to
that.
Joe. I listen to Tim Ferriss. I listen to one of my favorites is Gary V's as well.
Oh, I've not heard that.
He You
Write that one
haven't
down.
heard that one? Oh,
No,
it's definitely
write
one of
that
my
down.
favorites because well, he talks a lot about marketing. He talks about social media, how to build a brand online, and he's all about motivation and whatnot. So he's very big in what he does, and he just when I feel like sometimes I feel like my show is not going anywhere, or like I'm stuck at a certain number of followers. He just reminds me that who gives a shit as long as you
Yeah,
enjoy
having
doing
fun.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, sometimes you can get caught up in that because I don't know, we're part of like subreddits and stuff where
Mm.
people are like, oh, I got like 10,000 downloads, is that okay? And you're like, wow, that's like
Yeah.
that's a lot, man. And so
Some of those are fake, though. I mean, I've seen a couple,
probably
and when you look at the real numbers, they're like 10,000, but then they've got like 6 episodes that have like 19 plays each.
that's what I'm saying.
Like
That's what I'm
blatantly
saying.
obvious. I'm like, where's that number come from? That doesn't add up.
I have no idea, but sometimes I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes you just go stupid and you believe him, and you're like, no, I'm doing like way less than that, and it's been 2 years, and I've been dropping like consistently. So what's wrong? And then you listen to this guy Gary V, and he's like, who gives a shit? Like, you enjoy your show. I mean, I'm my show's number one fan. Just yesterday
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
listening to one of my episodes. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've
Uh,
never done that.
you
Oh, I've
haven't
not
done
listened
that,
back yet. No, I've not really listened back yet. I've done it
man.
through editing a little bit, but
Got it.
I don't know if I could sit there and listen to a show of myself.
Oh
I
man,
don't
like
know.
I love that because
I don't know.
most of the advice I give on my show is basically for me. It's me talking to me. And I just hope
That
someone
makes
else
sense.
relates to it. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes when it's like I'm feeling overwhelmed or feeling this or that, I just go back to one of my episodes that talks about that because I've probably made that episode because I was going through something, and so it just reminds me it just grounds me, and so yeah, I enjoy it so much. Like, I can't see myself stop doing it. Doesn't matter if I have like one download or 100 or 1,000.
Well, I mean, I check my numbers like once a week, but 'cause I just think the people you can't really sit there checking them all day every day. I think that's
Yeah,
how you
I don't
just
pay attention to that anymore, man.
plaguing
Like,
yourself that way.
a
It's
100%, 100%. Yeah, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, to be honest, there was when I was it was like a year ago. So there was this lady who sent me like an email, and she was like, I work for this big company head of marketing, and she was like, yeah, my boss really enjoys your show, and she wants to be on. I was like, what? Are you serious? And she was like, yeah, I mean,
that's
give
awesome.
us, yeah, man. And it happened once only, but I still remember it. And it's just a great feeling. And, the episode was amazing. I asked her so many questions that actually ended up being super helpful in what I did with one of my clients. And so, just for that, I'm definitely going to keep doing it because it opens so many doors. And I learned about so much with my guests. And I just hope, yeah, I always like end my episodes by saying, I really hope you guys enjoyed the show because I really hope, to bring value. That's what we do it for.
Well, like I say, man, that's super cool. By the way, the boss was listening to it as well. That's super cool.
Yeah,
That's super awesome. But that's like I say, even if it happens just once, you're like, it still blows you away. It's still a feeling that
100%, man.
is better than any other feeling you can get anywhere else at the minute. You know,
And
you
I
can.
think that's when I stopped looking at my numbers.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, it's worth it just to see like your progression, but when you start cutting into the stats and it gets tedious. You know, like I say, you can just start self doubting yourself as well.
A
You
hundred
know,
percent.
if you've got like I don't know 50 in the previous week, and then this week you get 35, you go, wow, what did I do wrong this time? You know, and then
Mm,
you know you start losing a bit of confidence and fucking yourself up, or maybe putting in extra work and then burning out. You know,
exactly.
it's a shit
Exactly. And
mentality.
once again, I talk a lot about, mindfulness and minimalism, and I also talk about it in terms of work. And, as a person who is, I try to work as little as I possibly can, to have, enough free time to create, podcast episodes, to create art, to draw, to do whatever I fucking want. And so, it's, yeah, I definitely talk a lot about, this world that we live in, where we're constantly trying to increase our productivity. And so by doing that, by looking at the numbers and going like last week was 50 and now it's 35 and now I got to go back to 50, I'm not part of that, man.
No,
I'm like, nah, it's not my thing. I'm usually like, oh, I mean, they're like, if there were 35 people right now in my room listening to me talk, I'd be blown away.
oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's how I
that's
look at it. It's like,
that's a
even if
different
they're
gig.
like just man, if there are 5 people right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
like chilling by my side and listening to us talk, that's already a lot, man. Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? And so I feel like, maybe because it's social media, maybe because it's like those big influencers, YouTube and whatnot. The numbers have definitely been blown out of proportion. But in a day to day life, how many people, like, if it wasn't, to be honest, for just social media, how many people would have like more than 1 million people listening to them?
yeah, yeah.
Not many, you know what I mean? Unless you're the president and you fucking, like, have a country under you. Nobody is willing to to listen
Well,
to you. You know what I
his
mean?
his podcast didn't go very well. He President Trump, he
Oh, he
launched
had a
his
podcast.
yeah, he launched I think one episode, and no
Oh shoot!
nobody really tuned in, or some shit like that happened, and I need
Oh,
to listen to
crazy.
it myself. I've not got around to it yet. I'm going to do it this evening actually. That'll be the
Yeah, man, I'm
because
I'm definitely gonna check it out because
I'm interested to
I
see what it's.
mean,
I'm a fan of like just the way he acts. He's a clown, but he's very funny. You know.
yep, 100%. I've tweeted this so many times. He's the funniest man. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and in the past year, like 2020, he was the funniest dude on planet Earth, man. Like, at
just
least
wild.
twice. You know what I mean? He was just wild, and you can agree or disagree with his politics and the things that he did, but personally, although I'm a person of color, I'm definitely like, I have been, let's say, touched by some of his measures and whatnot. I don't hate the guy,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
at least he was, he was real. He was honest about his dumb fuckery. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas, like, we've got others who are, by the public eye seen as, great individuals, and in the background they weren't. So yeah, I'm definitely not an anti-Trump. I'm not a Trumper, but I'm not an
No,
anti-Trump
I'm not.
either.
I'm not. I'm just on the fence. You know.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
again some of his policies were bullshit, but he's a
Yep.
funny guy to watch. That's the one thing
Definitely.
that I'll always argue it about, because it doesn't matter who
Yep.
you are.
Mm-hmm.
He's always got something for somebody that will find it funny. Some people
His
find it offensive, but
Yep.
I,
Yeah, I
some
mean,
of his wild shit though that he said it, you can't help but not go, "Fuck, he's done it again." You know, it's
yep.
almost like ridiculously funny into some aspect as well. He's a wild guy, but I do need to listen to his podcast
Same, man.
just to see how it went. What other ones did you listen to? Because that was a
Um,
good recommendation. That is.
yeah, 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 yeah. Trump. Yeah, yeah, that's a good
No, I meant
recommendation.
the one that you said, the Gary
Oh,
Vice.
Gary V. Gary
Gary
V.
V, yeah.
Gary V is great. What other ones? Let me check my phone, man. Just give me a second. There was this show with this really amazing lady, who makes it. It's about dating and stuff. It's called "Why Won't You Date Me" by Nicole Byer.
Okay.
It's funny. I really enjoy it. And yeah, it's one of those shows that I like tuning into. If you're into, just it's just banter about relationships and stuff. Some of it is real, some of it is banter, but I just enjoyed listening to her like going at it. What else? I listen to a lot of Steve Harvey as well.
Okay.
Because I enjoy his content, his yeah, his the kind of soul that speaks to me. So I really enjoy his
didn't
content.
didn't even know he had a show. That's
Oh,
crazy.
he does. He does. Yep.
That's, I bet that's
Yep.
probably
He
really
does.
good as well.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
look into that. He's a really funny
Yep.
guy.
He is a
Um,
funny guy, but he's pretty serious on his show. I mean, there's a lot of banter, of course,
oh
and he's
yeah,
not on his own. But he's still Steve. So yeah.
it's stuck in talking to Steve's. Have you ever watched Steve O's podcast? You know
I
Steve O
haven't.
from Jackass.
Nope. I
That's
haven't.
pretty good. There's
Really? Okay.
yeah, that's a good show. He gets some really interesting people on there as well.
Mm.
But obviously I've just mentioned that just because obviously the new Jackass is coming out like this year. Um,
Yeah.
there's
So, but one last one that's really interesting. Well, his your fellow Englishman, Russell Brand.
oh
I
okay,
mean, I really enjoy his content. I really enjoy his episodes. He talks about pretty much everything:
yeah,
politics, mindfulness, environment, whatever. And he always has a very interesting take.
yeah. I'm a
So,
huge fan.
okay, that's
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
man. Like I really,
I've always liked him, even from a comedic point, even as an actor. You
mm,
know,
mm.
even as a musician. You know, when he did the film, and obviously Get Him to the Greek.
Yep. Yep.
Obviously, he was like in that fake band. That music was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that
was
was
good,
really
man.
good
It
music.
was
Like,
good. I thought he had some album or something because I had no idea he was a musician. But yeah, in the movie, yes, that music was dope, man.
but I say even since then, I've always been a fan. I've listened to a few of his shows. I think I listened to one with Jordan Peterson. I think that was the last one I listened to, where it was
Yep. Well, that's his show.
Russell Brand and
That's his
Jordan
show.
Peterson. Yeah,
Jordan
it was.
Peterson is also another one. He's
Yeah, I
amazing,
listened to
man.
a lot of his stuff because he
Yeah,
just
me
makes
too.
so much sense.
Man, crazy. He's the guy. He's the guy.
There's a lot of people that I try and go, hey, you should listen to this, and they just it takes them a while to get it. You know, I think
Yeah.
certain people have a very closed sort of mind and mentality for certain topics and the realities
Yep.
of things. You know, it's a very tricky one for some people when they listen to it. They go, "Oh, this is a bit depressing," and you go, "Well, if that's your
It's the
take, that's
reality.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's never my take." I mean, I've listened to some of his. Obviously, I've got like children, so I was listening to some of his talks on children as well, and they're pretty good. You know, it makes sense.
Mm.
Like it was again, I've got like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and obviously, it was basically mentioning that before the age of 4, it's best to get in these social constructs. And again, it was just a very fascinating, like just again, I think it was like 12 minutes, and it was like the
Okay.
perfect amount of time, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge long lecture, but obviously the clip was just
Yeah.
sectioned out because again, his talks are fucking out. They're like 3-4 hours sometimes,
Yep.
and even
I
some of his
enjoy everything
debates.
he makes, man. Everything he makes. His like. Do you have a list of like podcasters that you? I mean, of people that you would like a top 10 list. Let's say let's keep it at 10. Top 10 people that you would love to have on your podcast.
I haven't actually wrote one yet, but there's a
Okay.
few on there.
Let's
There's a
go. Let's go.
there's
Top of your mind.
obviously I'd like to get Johnny Knoxville on just because that would be super cool. I've always wanted to meet the guy. I'd want to talk to Jordan Peterson for obvious reasons. Alan Watts would be another one. Elon Musk, I'd love to have a chat with him because everyone
Mm.
just to interact, just to see how the interaction would be. I wouldn't even want to talk to him as a lengthy conversation. I just want to be like, this is how you work. Like it's kind of just to watch his processes. That'd be there's a few. It's weird being put on the spot for stuff like that. There's a comedian, very funny, called Sam J, I think. Her last
Don't
name's
know.
Jay. She's a very funny comedian. I think that's the last name. I might have to Google that. I watched one of her specials on Netflix not long
Sam
ago.
J.
Jay, like Jay. I think that's what her last name is. Sorry for fucking up as well.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah, Sam J.
I
Yeah,
know him.
yeah, very,
I
very,
didn't know him.
very funny.
I have to check it out.
Her special on Netflix is fucking hilarious, and she's got
Let's check
some
it out.
really, really great jokes about Elon Musk that are
Oh, dope.
so funny. Just again, like her jokes, she's got some jokes about like I'm not going to repeat them because it's butchered. I'll butcher it, but just about going to the moon and shit like that, going into space, and
Mm.
the take of it was just. I think I was watching it as well, and everyone was in bed, and I was like having to not like wildly laugh and
Yeah.
tear down the house. It was one of those specials where I was like, it was crazy.
Mm.
Stephen King would be another one. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. Um,
Got it.
there's a lot of music that I listen to.
Okay.
You ever heard of Akira the Don?
Hope.
He you probably like that. He
Okay.
does he makes like music. It's called Meaning Wave, and it's basically like EDM, but he'll have like people talking on it, like over it, like people like Jordan Peterson, and they're really
Oh,
good.
that's
So
dope, man.
it's very. I mean, I come across it a while, maybe sometime last year, start of last year,
What's the
maybe.
genre called?
Meaning Wave.
Meaning Wave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Never heard of that, man.
no, the fact it's got its own like genre now is pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
I,
I mean, that sounds super interesting. If it's like people like you said, Jordan Peterson talking over music. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, what else could you ask for? You know?
there's quite a few. I mean, obviously Joe Rogan has got he's got quite a few of these people. Stan Lee was
Okay.
another one as well that has got some weird like album with him talking, and there's quite a few, but they're all really good. Really, really good, and they're good topics as well. Um,
That's awesome.
who else would I put on my list? I don't know. What about yourself? I'll come up with a few names there. I wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
probably reach 10. I think I got about six or something like that.
that's still good. Off the top of your mind, that's pretty good. Who would I have on my podcast? Who would I love to have on my podcast? So I'd start with Jordan Peterson. That's one. Russell Brand. That's another one. I feel like he's a very intelligent
Oh,
human
he
being.
is. Yeah.
He's too intelligent to be honest.
Very intelligent.
You know what I mean? So I'd love to have him. Gary V, the one I recommended earlier. So yeah, that's the kind of guy. He's probably gonna talk over me all the time, but I don't care. He's dropping so much knowledge so many times that I'm picking up everything. Um, I'd love to have 50 Cent, the rapper.
Okay, that's a very interesting choice. That'd be a cool
Man,
one.
the guy is, a mogul, he's an entrepreneur, he's a rapper, he's done everything, and he's, now a producer and the movie director. So I just, would like to pick his brain and talk about, how he manages to do all these things in one lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a fascinating character, and I'd love to have him on. Who else? Well, that's only four, man. Let me think. Let me
It's
think.
tricky, isn't it? It's hard work.
Yeah, man. It's yeah.
It's hard
It's very hard.
pulling names out of a hat. And it's very tricky. I mean, I would
Yep.
like to have like Snoop Dogg on, like Mike Tyson, because
Yeah.
again, I think
Mike Tyson.
would be 100%.
Hot boxing with Mike Tyson. That's
Yeah,
definitely
one
one
of
of my favorites.
one of my favourites as well. Again, and
Yep.
I'm a smoker, so I'd love to sit there and have
Hot box with him.
yeah, but it'd be a scary moment though. I
Yeah.
think I'd be a little bit nervous. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, the guy is a beast, and I'm talking mentally. I mean, his consciousness level is
Super smart guy though. Super fucking another super
100%,
intelligent
man.
guy. Especially
That's what I'm
like
saying. That's what I'm saying. He's like out of this world, man. And to be that good, like at what you do, and also like, be that intelligent in the real life aspects of things. It's just crazy. It's unfathomable, to be honest.
even like these fitness levels for his age as well. It's crazy. I mean,
Coming back from everything that he went through. Oh man.
Yeah, some of his stories are wild, man.
Yeah.
Crazy stories. The tigers and all that shit.
It's
I
and
can't
even
remember
like
the
yeah,
full
his
one though.
his inside stories about when because he was at the pinnacle of his career, and then things started going
Yeah, yeah.
down from that point on. He went to prison, he did this, that, he lost all of his money. Going through all that and being basically an orphan, or at least coming from, he didn't have much, and all that, and to make it to that level, to go
Level.
back down to like hit rock bottom and be able to get out of that again. And I reckon that was even harder than doing it the first time, because now you know the path and you know what you got to do. But it's like you've seen the top of the mountain, and
Yeah.
you're trying to climb it again, and you know how hard it was the first time. And so I feel like that's even more commendable that he got back to his the best version of himself.
One of the greatest things out in boxing lately was Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. That was a
Yep.
crazy, the
Yeah.
fact that they just went the distance was. That
Who would
was, I
have
mean, that was
thought?
fuck.
Who would
Yeah.
have thought?
I think
You
he's had
know?
like what, 4 fights, 5 fights,
Yep.
something like that, and then he goes against is essentially fucking the goat, and
Yeah.
shit is he went the distance, and that was crazy. I'm hoping to. I've seen one of his like sparring videos lately, and his sparring videos are fucking crazy. Is
He's huge though,
really,
man.
yeah, but he's
The
moving
guy is
so fast.
yeah.
It's unbelievably
He's
fast.
that's the impressive part. He gained so much in technical ability and agility that yeah, it's but again, I mean, he's surrounded himself with the best of the best to get him to that
Oh
level.
yeah, he's got the
So
money for that shit. He's got
yeah, that's what I'm
he'll have
saying.
the best trainers, the best post exercise, whatever, best
Yeah.
nutritionists.
And he put
it's
his mind to it, so
oh yeah, but
kudos to him.
that's the more important thing is
Yep.
you can have all that bullshit in the background, but it still ain't going to make
Nope.
that's not going to just do it to give you 12 rounds. I think it was 12 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, or whatever, however many rounds. You can have spend as much money as you want, but you still got to put in a lot of determination and heart to fucking do that.
100%.
It's so again, I'd like to be honest. I'd like to talk to him. That'd be a cool one. Just because he's a YouTube star, and that in itself, to go from like having no subscribers to the biggest YouTube star of all time.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's a process that I'd like to listen to.
One of my favorite episodes on his podcast show was with 6ix9ine,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rapper.
yeah, yeah.
6ix9ine is one of the people I would love to have on my podcast.
That'd be a
Because
wild
that
one.
guy, he's wild, man. And thing is, like when you listen to him talk, he's not stupid at all, man. He knows what he's doing, and I feel like a lot of people misjudge him because he has, rainbow hair, and
Yeah.
he talks a lot of trash. You know what I mean? But the guy is very intelligent, and he did some weird shit. Some of it has been proven, other not so
Oh
much.
yeah, yeah.
But when he talks, you sort of listen, and I found people like that fascinating. So I'd definitely love to have him on my show, man.
Any others?
Oh man, Denzel. I'd love to have
Oh
Denzel.
yeah, that'd be a cool one. Yeah,
He's
that'd be
like,
cool, man. I
so
love
much
Denzel.
wisdom.
Yeah.
So much
Some
wisdom.
of my favorite films are Denzel films as well. You ever seen is it Fallen? Fallen?
Was it Denzel Fallen?
I think it was. Yeah, it's the one with the killer in it, and there's that weird spirit that's fucking going into people's bodies and shit, and then killing people. And there's like it's like a cold murder case, isn't it? And obviously Denzel's the detective.
I haven't seen that one then.
It's a big film, and Bone Collector as well. That's like
Yep.
that's an old one, but that's a fantastic film. It's brilliant. I mean, I've not seen it for
100%.
years, but
Yeah.
I had it on DVD when it first came out. That's how I know that film like back to back, because it was back when DVDs first were literally available. That was one of the very first ones.
Mm,
It's crazy.
wow. Yeah,
Big film.
long time ago.
Equalizer. It's a bad film.
Whew,
Love that,
crazy
man.
film. Love that one too.
Can't really say I was a fan. There was a second one, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a second one.
Yeah. I can't say too
I
much
prefer
about
the
that.
first one. Like
Yeah.
the ending of the second one was, for me, a little bit over the top. You know,
Hmm.
I like the premise of the whole thing. I like that he kept his, the character hasn't, didn't necessarily evolve. It just adapted, and I like that. I don't like it when characters become too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't do that, so that was amazing to see. But then, yeah, the ending was a little bit, yeah, just yeah, it
Quentin
was over the
Tarantino would
top.
be a good one as well. That would be a cool one. But
Yeah, I
good
mean,
luck
it
getting
would.
that.
It would be crazy. I don't even know what we would talk about, but yeah. I mean, the guy seems, I don't know if you knew this, but this is a fun fact about him. When he writes his movies, he only writes one script, and whoever like is supposed to be in his movie has that one script. He has to read it, memorize it, and then pass it
Yeah.
on to the other actors because he doesn't want to make any copies of his script. And I found that like just crazy, man.
Just as a process, like
Yep.
his processes are crazy. I mean, some people are like hating on his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I think that was a fantastic film.
I thought that was a fantastic film as well.
I think you just have to watch it a couple of times. One thing that is a good watch is The
Mm,
Hateful Eight, but
yep.
I watched it on VR Quest 2. And it completely changed the whole fucking thing. It didn't even make it like it was virtual reality, but it gave the film like a weird 3D. I didn't even know if it was intended to do that, but it gave it like a 3D visual effect. So if there was like looking across a room and there was a bar, like or a table, it would look amazingly 3D. Like
Oh, really?
it was one of the best ways I could ever recommend watching it, which I mean, he recommends watching it
What?
in ridiculous fucking screen size with whatever he shot it on. But I think the best way is in VR. You are well immersed into it, and it's like you're in the room. It's
So,
kind of crazy.
okay, that sounds amazing, man. Did
It's
you like watch it at home in VR or
yeah.
got it?
I was just when I got it, and I thought, I wonder what films are like to watch on this. And then I thought, we'll watch this because
I'm
I'd
not
seen
sure
it a
how
couple of
I'm
times,
not sure
but
how that works. Like you just have like the Google thing, Oculus, whatever.
yeah. I just had the Oculus on, and then I was just sat there in bed, and it literally made out like I was in a theater anyway. Obviously, like you can look around and the seats and shit, and you could make the screen bigger. Well, I just made the screen bigger for my size, so it was like right there, and then it felt like I was just in the
I
room.
didn't know you could do that with the Oculus, to be honest. That's why
I
I'm asking. Like, I had no idea you could like. So basically, you just watched the movie, but with the
yeah.
Oculus, and you had the 3D part in it.
Well, I don't even think it was an intended to make it like that, but because I think it was shot the way it was with its
Yeah.
weird fucking big dirty lens,
Mm.
whatever size it was ridiculous. I think that's kind of why. I've not seen another film to do it yet. It's been the
Wow.
only. I mean, I've watched like a few animations on there, and that doesn't really work at all. That's pretty rubbish. But there's, there's anyone that has a Quest 2, like just go and watch The Hateful Eight. I think it's on Prime anyway, but
Mm. Got it. Okay.
might not be now. I think it might be off Prime, or I might have. Did I watch it on Netflix? I don't know. But I'd recommend anyone with a VR to do that, and you'll be blown. You'll be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Okay.
Makes no
What's
sense.
what's the experience like when you watch other movies?
It's just normal. It's like when you go to the it's just like going to not like an IMAX, but you get like the shit 3D cinema ones with the crap glasses.
No, but
Like
like classic, normal, 2D movies. Do you watch
yeah,
them in the Oculus? Are they as
no, I've not found another one like it. It was just a Hateful Eight. It was just
but
I
is
could say
is
it
the
was.
experience just with the Oculus, spectacular compared to just watching it on
Mm,
TV, for instance?
well, I probably wouldn't actually recommend it. I'd rather watch it on a big TV.
Really? Like,
Yeah,
You'd rather watch movies on a TV than the
Yeah,
interactions.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
It's a long time on your eyes as well. If you're going to watch like a 2.5 hour film, it's you know.
Yep.
So it's easier to watch it on a TV, but it was just that one experience that I was like, fuck. But then I couldn't replicate it. No matter what I put
Mm.
on, I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, all of them are going to be like this. This is cool. None of them were. It was.
Okay.
I need to test another Tarantino film, maybe
Hmm.
Inglorious Bastards, and see where that fares up.
That's a
Um,
classic.
yeah, that's a super cool film.
Whew. He really like torn the roof off with that one. It was really. I mean, I mean, man, probably like all of his movies were good. Um, Reservoir Dogs, just incredible. And then maybe I think Pulp Fiction is my least favorite, and I still like
Oh,
it.
hmm,
I still like it, but it's my least favorite. I think.
hmm.
Yeah,
What's your reason? What's your reasons for that? That's
I don't know, man. It's probably because it's the first Tarantino I've ever seen, and I feel like
okay.
that's when I got to know him. And then people were like, "Oh, he made like another one before." And then he made others after, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" So I'm gonna check out all of these movies, and then I saw Reservoir Dogs, and I was like, "This is insane." And then I saw like, what was it, Snatch? I think.
Yeah, that's not Tarantino
No,
though.
it's not Tarantino. Snatch is not
That's
Tarantino.
that's Guy Ritchie.
That's
Amazing
Guy
film
Ritchie.
though.
Whew, man, he just made I'm sure you've seen The Gentleman, right?
No, I've not. No, I mean, I've spoke about it on a previous show. Like, I'm a huge Guy Ritchie fan, but I've not
Okay,
really followed any of his more recent stuff. Um,
bro.
and then I
The
kind of need
Gentleman,
to.
The Gentleman is worth your time, man. The Gentleman is a really dope ass movie. That's there is that one, and he just came out with one. I saw it like a couple of months ago, called Wrath of Man, I think, with
Hmm.
Jason Statham. And
Oh,
yeah,
I think
that
I've
one
heard of
is
that.
it's really good action. It's the plot is amazing, and the filming, and how he is with the details. So nah, man, that's also another movie I'd really recommend you watch because it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a documentary fan, but
Mm.
occasionally I will binge some shitty films. But 9 times out of 10, I'll just whack a documentary on because you just, mm, even if it's like a bollocks one, like conspiracies or whatever, it's
Yeah,
still pretty fun.
Flat
Rather
Earth.
than,
I've seen that
yeah,
one. I liked it, man. I enjoyed it. I mean,
was
I'm not a flat earther, but I liked the documentary. Like you
was that?
said, it was.
Did you see the one with the guy that made wanted to make a rocket? Is that the same? Was that the same one? There's a guy that just made a rocket from junk and scrap.
Okay.
And he basically wants to go and fly up to test and see if the Earth is flat. Like,
Damn
but
it.
it's a really good documentary. It's really compelling as well. You're like, shit, man, this guy's really going for it. Just
Yeah.
literally made it. Did like loads of tests, and he got like real like aeronautical fucking experts on it and shit.
Mm.
Like, it's crazy. I can't remember what it's called now. This is the only problem. I watch that many fucking documentaries that you forget them in the
Yeah.
end, like the titles. There's another really good one called The Pharmacist. That's about a guy who lost. Well, he was a pharmacist, and he basically exposed the like OxyContin like
Yep. Mm.
industry in America. Like his son,
Mm.
I think his son passed away due to it, and then like he just went on this crazy like one man campaign, and that was another compelling documentary, just to see like just how crazy the epidemic was, and you didn't even like realize it, especially with like Xanax and shit like that, and
Mm-hmm. It's a big one, man.
benzodiazepines. Yeah, it's a huge market. People don't quite realize the drug industry is monstrous. Like it's huge.
And what they don't even realize is that we're not the primary consumers of drugs, but animals are. So like the
Hmm.
pharmaceuticals actually, like I think it's around 70 something percent of their of their products go to the cattle and fish industry.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
It's insane,
Shit.
man. So we basically just consume 20% or whatever, and it's still huge. But like, if you look at how everything is intertwined between us and what we consume, whether it's food, whether it's drugs and stuff, it's just pretty crazy. And yeah, I learned that this year, and it's fascinating.
Well, you're a vegan, correct?
Yep, yep.
Yep, I did get that right. Haha, yes, brain. 1 point, one point for remembering that. Yeah. What's that like? I don't know too many vegans. I've
Okay,
known like vegetarians. I've dated
got
a
it.
couple of vegetarians, and that was pretty. That weren't very fun. um, I mean, I completely changed all my meals. I didn't really mind, but I
Mm,
kind of got introduced to Quorn that way. So I can't really fault it because I like Quorn, but
mm.
I've never really had a chance to talk to a vegan. And
Okay.
what's it like? I mean, I've heard that some people have to take like X amount of supplements and shit like that because of protein, but you just hear and read a lot of myths and
Mm.
bullshit. You know?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of, yeah, it's basically bullshit because the you do have to take one supplement, and that's B12.
Well,
So
everyone should take that anyway.
that's exactly what I was getting at. So basically, you have to take that. You also have to take, vitamin D because, in the northern hemisphere, it's winter all
Yep,
year almost, and so we all need vitamin D. I
take
don't
that.
take it personally.
Oh,
I
you
try
don't?
to. I
You
don't.
should.
I took it like for the first time this past year because there was this correlation between COVID deaths and
Yep,
mild symptoms and vitamin D, and so I was like, oh, I need to supplement. But prior to that, I never really needed it, and I think I still don't. Anyway, that's the sun. It's something different to veganism. But back to your question, what it's like to be vegan? Well, to be honest, I don't see the difference anymore. It's only been 3 years, but I don't see the difference anymore between my life prior to being vegan and now. Simply because when you start researching your stuff and you start paying attention to what you're putting into your body,
yep.
um, you basically kind of know. It's like when we were young, our parents tell us got to drink milk. There's calcium, and you got to eat meat because there are proteins, and you know what I mean. And there's omega in fish, and so these things because you grew up with them. And then when you go vegan, you basically have to re educate yourself about food, and so you know that there's a lot of protein in chickpeas, and
Oh yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of
Loads.
what I mean. That's basically it takes maybe a month, maybe a couple of months to get the hang of it and to know what's in what. And you start seeing, comparisons between like 100 grams of meat and 100 grams of this. How much is it? Is it enough? Is it, less? Is it whatever? And nah, and then you just roll with it, to be honest. And the trickiest part is basically being able to eat outside, especially here in France because they're really way behind in terms
Yeah, I
of
would
vegan
imagine.
options. Yeah, in England, you guys have lots of stuff, lots of restaurants, lots of fast food restaurants, lots of
Is that more
gourmet.
just because of like the delicatessens and all that shit, or is it?
Not
I don't know.
necessarily, man. The population is not ready for that kind of lifestyle. There are a lot of vegetarians, but when you're a vegetarian, you don't mind, meat. I mean, milk powder in your bread, and you don't mind, butter and eggs and whatnot. But when you're vegan, all of that is out of the equation, and so that's when it get tricky because all of pretty much everything here is based on animal products, animal derived products, and so that's the tricky part. But again, we were talking earlier on about drugs and alcohol and and the financial side of things. Well, when you go vegan, since you're not eating as much outside, then you're definitely saving a lot because you're basically buying nuts, fruits, and veggies, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So
What made you turn vegan? Was there a
um
specific reason, or?
there are like three main reasons. The first one being, well, they're equally as important one to another. So this is not like a comparison like as one, two, three. But one of them is the health side of things, because I had like colon issues before, acid
Okay.
reflux, that kind of stuff. And then when I stopped like just dairy, I felt so much lighter, so much better. I was sleeping better. I had no more reflux. I had nothing. And so I was like, oh, I got to cut out dairy out of my system, you know? And then with the meat stuff, I did some, at some point I had like some issues with cholesterol. And so I did some tests. They were like, you got to lay off meat for a little bit. I was like, all right, well, that's fine. So I just gotta eat fish. And basically I was a pescatarian for like 8 years before I went vegan. Yeah.
That's a
So
long time just eating fish.
just eating just fish, man. And so there's basically the health side of things, because yeah, I just felt so much better, so much lighter. I was sleeping better. I wasn't having anymore. I used to have a lot of sleep apnea, and then
Okay.
all of that like disappeared as I stopped dairy products. So that was good for my health. And then obviously there's the animal side as well. Since for me it's a choice to either like want to eat an animal that's been killed, or just not do that
Yep.
and eat something else. So there was that aspect, because I truly love animals, and I actually think I'm gonna like switch careers at some point in my life just to be an animal advocate, or at least work with animals, take care of animals,
Okay, it's a good
wild
choice.
animals. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, especially like gorillas and stuff, man. I
Oh
love
yeah, that'd be fantastic, man.
man, it would be insane.
I'm a
So
huge fan
yeah,
of monkeys and chimps and orang. I'm a
I
huge
love him.
anything along them
Exactly,
lines. I could sit and
exactly.
watch
And
them
so
all day, like
really,
physically all
yeah,
day.
and that's what I want to do. Just like basically cater to them. You know what I mean? And the third one would be the environment. And so since we're talking about monkeys, when you see all the extinctions, when you see all the lands that are being all the the forests that are being like cut down so that we can plant soy, so that we can feed the
Yeah, yeah.
cattle and we can feed whatever, the fish and stuff. um
It's all rubbish ground as well. It's all really shit dead land. They've just reused it over and over
after
again. It's
it's
pretty
used,
crap.
yeah, exactly, and so it causes so much harm to the planet and to fellow human beings. And to be honest, I've been to some countries where you could see that, like even 10 years ago, firsthand. You could see like so many droughts. You could talk to people and like natives of some places in Africa and South America, where people would be like, yeah, 10 years ago this place used to be green at this point, and we used to harvest this stuff, and
Yeah.
now we can't because there's been a drought and it's more recurrent now. And so when you see that, you go like, what can I do to change? And yeah, and so for me, change just starts at home, and it starts with what I eat and how I consume. And so those are like the three main reasons why I went vegan.
The only thing that I could never really get with was
Mm,
I'm a huge coffee drinker, and
got it.
blimey, that sun's blinding me. And and the only problem is I like there'd be soy milk, and then I'd make a coffee, and then it'd curdle instantly. So I was like, huh. And it took me about 50 different processes to be able to get that correct. I don't know if it was just me. I don't. It happened like every single time we'd get some soy milk. I'm like, this is getting bullshit now. Like, I'd just end up not having like soy milk in the end. I'd just have black coffee. I'm like, ah, fuck this. But I could never really get it right. I don't understand
Oh.
how. I didn't understand how they could pour it. Like, if you go to Costa, I go
Mm.
Costa and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. How did you how'd you get it like
How
this?
do you do it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How? Because it's boiling hot milk, and I'm like, this is hotter than the milk. I don't know. Maybe it was the heating up the milk separately. I think I
Maybe you gotta
tried.
try
To
like
be honest,
other
I think I
milks,
tried
because
it. Yeah.
there are other yeah, there are other milks, like I don't know, almond milk or nuts
Yeah, I've
or
tried almond
rice,
milk.
or you've
That's
tried it.
yeah, I
You know,
wasn't really
it's not, you're
keen. I
not a
can't.
fan.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good source for protein.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, 100%.
but
I mean, there
I,
are so many other varieties. There's even rice milk.
yeah, I've not tried
There's
that.
hemp milk.
I've tried
Um,
that.
you've
That's
tried it.
so yes. Hmm. Well, I say I
It
tried
doesn't
the
taste. It doesn't. It obviously
yeah.
doesn't taste like a cow
It's,
milk.
it's
But
pretty
it
dirty.
tastes.
It's a pretty dirty flavor. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I also
hemp.
tried some. Yeah, I tried some hemp
Mm.
protein stuff as well at one point, and I was like, oh, it was pretty. It was pretty disgusting. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
The strawberry flavor. wow, it didn't taste nothing like
I've
strawberry
never tried
whatsoever.
that.
Don't. It's not. It's really not worth it. I mean, it's pretty good for you, like extremely good for you,
Mm.
but when you're trying to stomach it and get it down, it's like, oh my god, and you can't get rid of the taste. I tried to
Oh
put
wow.
different things in there, and it just make it taste funkier and weirder. Like I put some ice cream in there once, some Ben and Jerry's, because I thought this is going to completely get rid of the taste.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't. It was just horrific. It was
Mm.
to be honest, it was a bit of a mess. I just tried it and poured it away. I was like, this is disgusting. I wouldn't ever
Yeah,
recommend.
the only hemp that I eat is usually like just hemp seeds,
Oh,
and
yeah, they're really good for
I
you.
spray them over salads or whatever, and those are really really good. I really love the taste. Well, it tastes like hemp and it smells like hemp, so
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
enjoy that a lot.
seeds are okay. They're good in
Seeds are
cakes as well. You've ever made them in
that
like
too.
cakes? Yeah, they're really
Yep,
good.
yep.
Just like a normal like fairy cake, cupcake, whatever you want to
Mm.
call it, and then just bang a load of them in like you would like sesame seeds or what. You get other seeds as well, like poppy seeds. They're pretty good as well in
I don't
cakes.
know, poppy seeds. Okay,
They're pretty good. Oof,
okay.
I haven't had them for ages. Shit,
Hmm.
man. You get them on like baked goods as well sometimes. Like I
Mm.
say, like delicatessens or shit like that. Like
Yeah,
if you go to like Lidl, I'm a huge fan of Lidl.
same man.
Just they have an amazing bakery section.
Yep.
And I think they have them on some of their goods. But the one thing I love from there is they do a goat's cheese and green pesto sort of like and sun dried tomato like
Mm.
they're
So like a
amazing.
quiche, right?
Yeah, they're a bit like a kind of like a quiche. It's hard to explain what they're like, but they're like little. I don't know. They're just like little topped fucking bun things. Like they're so that they're amazing though. Like those, I get those, and they're like pecan,
Mm.
maple pecan wraps, like turnovers or whatever you want to call them. Oh, love them, man. Every time. It's the only reason I shop there,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah, yeah. I heard that.
Just as an excuse, man. Like,
I
so
missed that. I missed that part because they
yeah.
don't have any vegan stuff. Like all of it
Um,
is almost. I mean, at least here and in Spain, they don't have any vegan stuff. Most of it
what
is just.
obviously the goat's cheese is the only thing that'd be off that for you, wouldn't it?
No.
Because
Usually, like they have whether it's like butter or like
mm,
cream milk or like eggs or there's always something. And they'll transit to having more vegan stuff, I'm sure, but just not right now. Maybe in England they do have vegan options.
yeah, we've got a few. I mean, like we've got like a Greg's, and they do some really good little vegan things. I've never McDonald's have like a new vegan burger. I think
They do, yeah.
I haven't tried that yet.
Hmm.
I might try it, but I've also said that about the fillet of fish for about I don't know 15 years. Like, you ever tried one of those? Being
The filet of fish.
yeah,
Yeah, I have.
what are
That
they
was,
like?
yeah.
I've heard really good
Filet
things,
of
but I'm
fish. Oh, they're pretty good. Not the best,
no. I mean,
burgers
I've
you'd
heard they're
have in
not
your life, but
good. I've heard they're not good sellers, but I've heard some people they're like pretty amazing, and I'm like, oh, I don't
yeah.
know.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I mean, it's been some time, so I don't recall to be honest much. But I remember like whenever I was there, I was with friends and everyone was having something, and since I wasn't eating meat, so I had to take that. So, but
There's
I
not
remember,
many.
yeah, I didn't have as many options,
Yeah, the
so I was
options were
like, yeah, I'm
probably
gonna have like the filet
slim.
of fish, and no, it was good. It was good.
I'm gonna have to try one. I
Try
keep
the
saying,
try Burger King's vegan option. It's
oh,
pretty
okay.
amazing. Yeah, try
I
that one
mean,
instead of McDonald's.
I don't even know if we can. I don't even know where the closest Burger King is. I mean, I've not even been Burger King for years, but
Mm.
maybe. Oh, I've already got dinner cooking. God damn it! I could have given a perfect
They
excuse
call
then.
it the Rebel Whopper. The
I'm gonna have to.
Rebel Whopper is pretty good, man. You should
I need
try
to.
it.
I need to try Burger King again. I mean, I just don't get a chance. I'm like, the problem is, I'm a huge. You probably hate this, but I'm a huge Kentucky Fried Chicken fan.
Oh,
Like, yeah,
they're
it's not.
working on a vegan option, man.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Now that they can essentially print food out,
Yep,
there's
yep,
possibilities are fucking endless.
exactly.
Like, printing meat, and it tastes, well, it's meant to taste good. I could imagine it would if
To be
you.
honest, I mean, to many people that I see like online and stuff, they're like, I don't know, I couldn't tell what the difference is. So I don't know if they're paid actors or if they're
Mm.
real, because they're usually like meat eaters, and they're like, okay, we have a test for you guys. We have two burgers, and he's like,
Oh, yeah, I've
tell
seen
us which
them.
one is meat, which one is not. And most of them, I mean, if not like all of them, are usually like, I couldn't tell which one is and which one isn't.
They
They
look
both
they look a
taste like
bit
meat.
fake sometimes. Those
You know,
little
sometimes
commit.
they do. So I don't
They
know.
look.
So I'd rather like go to someone like you, and tell them like, okay, I know you. I trust your, I trust what you guys say. So tell me, do you feel that there's a difference or not? But that would be a great
Yeah,
blind test.
it definitely would be. It's like a placebo kind of test, isn't it? Yeah, and
100%.
I think they'd have to try pretty hard to fool someone who really was a massive meat eater or a burger fan. Because I love burgers, man. I
I
love
love
barbecue.
burgers too. Just yesterday I had burgers, and the day before that.
Do you ever have? I mean, I've had to cater a few times to like vegetarians when I'm barbecuing. But what
Mm.
do you ever like host like barbecues?
Well, I do, and I attend lots of. I attend more by barbecues than I host. With friends. They're usually, I mean, super open to the idea that, I mean, they know I'm vegan. My wife is vegan, so they know that, and no, they're usually like super open about it. We have our own steaks, so they're just cooking theirs on one side and we're cooking
Yeah, that's what
ours
we do.
on the other side. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's literally no difference. It's just bring your own food and cook it. And so, yeah, it's never been a problem this far.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you'd done the reverse of that.
Oh,
Because
like
that's probably
barbecue.
because that's probably trickier, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah, it is, but like I feel like once again, people get it. They're like, I know you don't want to participate in, consuming this kind of
Yeah,
stuff
no, it
that,
makes sense.
you know what I mean? And so they're like, okay, well, we'll bring our own food. And I'm like, yeah, be my guest.
A lot of potato salads. Not that I complain at that. Again, I'm a huge
Yeah, I,
fan.
I love potato salads.
I think, to be honest, I need to switch up my own diet lately because when you're doing podcasting quite a lot, you just like even earlier on, I was like, Burger King, that could be an option tonight. So I
Yeah.
need to stop eating so much shitty takeaways at the minute. It's luckily
Yeah.
I've got like a Sunday dinner today, but it's Monday, but like I've got a
Mm,
real wholesome meal waiting for me when I finish this, so I'm gonna look forward to that.
okay.
But burgers, man, makes me hungry. God damn it.
Try
Well, I've
Burger
got.
Kings, please. Try it
I'm
and let me
definitely
know.
going to try them. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to try them next because we always go to the same places. I mean,
Mm,
huge fan of curries. I'll eat them fucking nine
daily.
times out of 10. Yeah, like just give me all the naan breads and that's it. Just a
Mm.
big korma and just as much naan bread as you can give me, and I'll just fill up like cheese naans. Yeah, cheese naans are a good one. Well, listen, let's round this bad boy up because I'm actually it's getting a bit peckish talking about that
Yeah.
food. I
Yeah.
need to put some food in my stomach, and we've topped like an hour, so that's pretty good. I normally at least aim for over an hour. Otherwise, it's you know, it's
Yeah.
well you can still get a lot of good conversations in, but I think to get to know somebody, you need like an hour. You know,
For real.
in a way,
True.
because you can just free flow loads of bullshit and
Hmm.
get tons of opinions. So this has been a fun show. It's been very funny, and I'd love to have you on again. I always invite people back on. I will let you know about that Rebel Burger.
For sure, man. There's so
where
much to talk
can
about.
people follow you, my friend?
You can find me at Clarity with TK on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or Clarity WTK. That's TEEKAY on Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for having me on, man.
No, perfect. Well, this has been the Postman Podcast with TK Merah. Oh, fucked your name up then, didn't I? God damn it. No, I didn't. Yes. I'm always terrible at these names. Yes, and this has been the Postman Podcast. Take it easy, people. See you next time.